on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We're cruising on a Thursday, hour 1 in the books, hour 2 ahead as we welcome you back to the Lombardi Line, presented as always by DraftKings alongside Michael Lombardi, Stormy Bonantoni with you. In about 30 minutes, we'll have former NFL offensive lineman turned analyst Jeff Schwartz join the program. We'll get into a little college football, a little NFL action, especially since he's really good on the betting side of things too. His reaction to the news of the comeback player of the year market actually having a little bit of criteria to it where we didn't know in years past what it was really for. Also, at the end of the show, think if we have time, we might actually get into some week 1 lines that have taken some of the most bets. But where I want to start, Michael, is a topic that we broached a little bit in hour 1, but didn't really get to fully dive into, and I do want your opinion on. The Broncos ultimately bringing in David Shaw, former Stanford head coach, as a senior personnel executive. First and foremost, what exactly is that role? What can we expect from Shaw? And is that a good move for Sean Payton bringing him into Denver?
Well, obviously, David has always loved the draft. He's been involved with it. He's worked at NFL Network on draft coverage as when he was the head coach at Stanford. Plus, he's, knows the coaching. He's an offensive guy. He's been schooled in the West Coast offense, starting with Jim Harbaugh when they both were together at San Diego, was in Philadelphia when I was there with John Gruden and, of course, Sean Payton, too. So he knows that offense. He knows the running game. So he gives Sean, I think what he gives Sean is a truth teller, because if you know David like I know David, David's not one to hold his tongue or to wait and see what someone else thinks. David's an opinionated person, which is a good thing, with strong convictions, and you're not going to back him down. And I think oftentimes in organizations, especially when you have somebody like Sean who's running everything and has all the power and has all the clout and all the money, that people are scared to tell them the truth because it doesn't do their career very much good. So you need a truth teller in your building, and I think David provides that for Sean. It also provides a way to where he can understand players and plays, right? Oftentimes we get into a situation where we get – I forgot to turn my ringer off, Stormy. I apologize. Where we get into a situation where we're just – trying to tell the boss what he wants to hear and just get through the meeting, when that doesn't really do you much good. And I know George Payton's there, and he still has the title of general manager, but George within the building can't have much clout, considering the fact that he recommended the trade for Russell Wilson. He picked Nathaniel Hackett, and then he signed the contract. I mean, he's 0 for 3 on 3 things you can't be 0 for 3 on and still keep a job. Right? I mean, one of those can get you fired. He's still employed. I don't know, maybe because he still has a contract. But look, I think the relationship between the two guys will work, and I think David will tell Sean what he needs to hear.
And what I think is most interesting about that, too, is that Sean Payton, because of the place that he's at his career where he is established, he's done this for a long time, he doesn't need a yes man. He wants somebody that will be that, as you termed it, a truth teller, that will be honest in the room in those situations. I think it's very valuable, and I think somebody like him will be great for just another voice in the ears of a young quarterback in Bo Nix, who's trying to figure it out at the NFL level. Shaw, I know, ended his tenure at Stanford on a low note, but still the winningest coach in Stanford history, the only coach ever to win 4 Coach of the Year honors in the Pac-12, RIP, which again, we'll talk about a little former Pac-12, now Big Ten, a little bit later on in the show. But very interesting. The Denver Broncos, by the way, their season win total this year, just 5.5. They're an 18-1 shot in the AFC West, 7-1 the price for them to make the postseason. Speaking of young quarterbacks, Michael, did you see this video of J.J. McCarthy? Yes or no? Just yes or no?
No, I did not see it. No, I did not.
Well, lucky you. You're going to see it live because it is just a bit outside. Throw it up there, Elliot. All right, this is J.J. McCarthy throwing out a first pitch. Michael, is it?
Oh, my.
That's for somebody who, for a living, throws a ball. This is not a good sign.
No, it's horrendous. I mean, and, he went to go get the runner. But, I mean, look at the whole – he looks like he's pitched before. He's got the whole thing. How did he not practice for this? This is what I want to know. How did he not practice?
I don't know. I don't know.
How did he not set himself up? I saw – didn't Dallas Turner throw the ball out the same game? He was way over to the right. I know it's hard. Look, I mean, it looks easier than it is when you get up on that mound and you think about, trying to get the ball over the plate and you haven't thrown a baseball in 10 years or something like that. But you think you'd practice a little bit before you went and did it. You think you would do some of that. I think, look, the other thing I want to make, going back to David Shaw, I think one of the unsung heroes for the Celtics, and then we'd transition into this, is Joe Mazzulla's willingness to left Jeff Van Gundy in the building. Right? How many young head coaches who were getting a lot of criticisms about what was going on, about how he handled situations and all that, and all of a sudden here comes Van Gundy into your building and you think, oh, this guy's going to take my job. Well, I think he did a really good job of not letting him take his job, but also listening to him. I think what we all need is no matter how old we get, we need mentors.
Mm. And speaking about, the Celtics and Mazzulla, Brad Stevens and the job that he's done to put together that team. I know we talked about a lot earlier this week with the Celtics winning the NBA Finals, but for what's on Michael's mind, which we do each and every day here at the Lombardi Line, I know it surrounds, it has to do with team building and specifically Brad Stevens. So what do you got today?
Well, I think, look, we often want to know what's the magic formula. How'd you lose 20 pounds in 2 hours? What do you need to do? And I thought Brad, when he transitioned from being the head coach up into the front office and replacing Danny Ainge, who was a lot of part of this team, but it took a lot of really smart decisions once Ainge left the building. For example, he trades Kemba Walker for Al Horford. Gets Al Horford back. 76ers paid him, but gets him back. He doesn't trade Jaylen Brown in 2021 when most people want him to. He trades Langford for Derek White with Popovich and RJ down in San Antonio. He gets him to come in, who's a huge player for their team, right? Traded Marcus Smart for Porzingis and gets 2 number 1 picks to go along with it. Then he re-signs Brown. He trades Brogdon and Williams for Holiday, right? Gives up the big man inside. And then he signs Porzingis and Holiday to extensions, and then he brings Van Gundy in to help his coach who needed help. I mean, those moves made a huge difference. And I think what he also talks about is, which I think is really important, is we talk about it on the show, but I thought he summed it up really good, is he wants players that are self-critical, that will analyze themselves. They're not trying to have all the answers. They're not self-absorbed, but they're willing to listen, and I think that's really important. And he's done a great job of bringing players in like that. And I think when you look at it, I think it really comes down to, you people say, what's the secret sauce in Boston? Self-awareness, simply that. The players are aware of who they are, their strengths, their weaknesses. They all play the same style. We were sitting here on the show trying to figure out who the MVP was. Is it this guy? Is it that guy? It could have been one of 4, right? It could have been one of 4 because they all play the same game. They're self-aware. There was nobody trying to take over the game. They were just playing within the confines of the game.
And I think, too, of the many things you listed out there that Brad Stevens did to put this team together the way that he has, the moving on from Marcus Smart, who a lot of people thought that was a really bad idea because of the veteran leadership presence that he provides, defensive player of the year, all these things. But to get Kristaps Porzingis, who, yes, I know wasn't available the majority of the postseason, but he single-handedly took over that game 1 and set the tone for that game for Boston in the finals. And then also pairing that with another thing that so many people said maybe you should separate Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. This thing isn't going to work with the two of them together, and ignoring that noise and sticking with his gut and what he believed was going to work for this team. 2 moves that people really thought were not going to pan out well for this team that are ultimately why, in my mind, they won an NBA Finals and why they have that title in their belt right now. So it's significant for sure.
And the fact he's a former coach, so he understands player development. He understands what it takes. They trade for Jarrett Springer, the kid from the 76ers, who the Sixers drafted in the first round. He still relatively would be one of the youngest players in this draft. That's how young he was. He went to Tennessee. He played 1 year at Tennessee, and the 76ers drafted him. So he's 17 at Tennessee. He's going to be 19. I was told by somebody in the Celtic organization he was the youngest player, still the youngest player they had in, even when they were bringing players in for the draft to study it. So they take him. He's a really good defensive player. He's hungry. I think he's won the MVP of the G League for the 76ers. He doesn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he doesn't try to play outside his comfort zone. So they're going to take a chance with him. Gave up nothing for him. And now they're going to see if the kid will take to coaching and fit into their system. That's what's called player development. Will it work? We don't know. But they have a plan for it, whereas some teams don't. Let's just sign Paul George, or let's just sign this player. And then 2 years from now, we're still on the same cycle. We can't get off of it. And we're wondering, why can't we get off of it? The 76ers are the perfect Uncle Junior line about the Celtics. They're so far behind the race, they actually think they're in the lead. I mean, they actually think they could have beaten Boston this year. That's how bad they are. And they're going to re-sign some of their guys. They're never going to get any closer to them because Boston has plans. 76ers just go through the process.
Michael, because you talk about teams not having a plan, how odd is it to see the NBA draft coming up next week, and we have 3 teams that still don't even have a head coach right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. We don't. Now, Detroit says they're going to try to hire a coach, and hopefully they'll hire somebody that I know, and I think that'll be a good move for them if they do that. But, you know, I think a lot of this just tells you, you know, that the front office is going to try to pick a player. And there's no marriage between the player that they pick and what they really are as an identity of the offense or the defense. That's the critical part, you know. And obviously everybody's going to wonder where Bronny's going to go when he didn't make all-conference in high school and he barely played for USC.
Yeah. How much of the coverage do you think is going to surround around Bronny James? Is he going to the Lakers?
It'll be noxious.
Yep, it'll be all over the place. We got No Way and No Doubt coming up next. Stay with us here on the Lombardi Line.
If you didn't catch the handle, here's what you missed.
I think this is good news here for the Jaguars to get him under the extension now. Look, quarterback salaries, like wide receiver salaries, they're just going north. It's not going to get any cheaper to sign Trevor Lawrence. In a year or two, you've got multiple quarterbacks who are up for extensions. They're going to get this level of money as well. And let's be honest, you're not moving off Trevor Lawrence in a year or 2 years. He is going to be your quarterback of the future because it's so hard to replace guys like this. And maybe he doesn't turn into the guy, but that being said, this contract still at the end of it is going to look cheap if he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, because you're just going to see these prices go up and go up and go up. We saw the cap go up here. I don't mind this deal. I think it's appropriately priced because of what it's going to be. If you tried to make this deal with Trevor Lawrence in a year or in 2 years, it's going to be exponentially more.
The Handle with Matt Brown and Mike Somich. Weekends at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The summer months are here, which means you're going to have to bet on baseball. This is VSiN MLB analyst Adam Burke, and my daily article is here to help you navigate betting baseball each and every day. I break down pitching matchups, study analytics, look at weather reports, and more to help find best bets on the MLB card every day. My article is only available to VSiN Pro subscribers. To become a subscriber and get help betting baseball this summer, as well as everything else VSiN has to offer, head to VSiN.com/pro.
Want to level up your sports betting game? Then you need to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. For a limited time, get a VSiN Pro subscription at a special price of just $199, and you'll get an extra month absolutely free. That's 13 months of VSiN for the price of 10. VSiN Pros get access to daily best bets sent to your inbox every morning, unlimited pro articles, betting splits, and more. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and use promo code FOOTBALL to become a VSiN Pro today for just $199 and join the sports betting network.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
At VSiN, we've got you covered before, during, and after every game. Jumpstart your game day with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN Primetime at 6 Eastern. They'll get you ready before the first tip, puck drop, and pitch, ensuring you're ahead of the game. Then stay in the loop during all the action with the Greg Peterson Experience at 9. And as the night wraps up, join Matt Humans and Wes Reynolds on VSiN Tonight at 11, giving you the first look at tomorrow's lines to get an edge on the next day's bets. All this and more, only on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Bonatoni, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Next week, we're releasing our VSiN NFL Betting Guide, your ultimate resource for the football season, jam-packed with detailed team, division, and conference analysis. And of course, best bets for the year. To get the guide, though, you must be a VSiN Pro subscriber. Right now, you can sign up for a VSiN Pro annual subscription for just $199. That's down from our regular price of $240. Plus, we're throwing in an extra month absolutely free when you use our promo code Lombardi. With a VSiN Pro subscription, you'll get exclusive access to premium analysis, expert picks, and advanced betting tools that'll give you an upper hand throughout the year. Don't miss out, though. This is a limited time deal. Sign up and save ahead of the NFL season by visiting VSiN.com/subscribe now and use that promo code Lombardi to claim your discount and bonus month. That's VSiN.com/subscribe, code Lombardi.
Do you disagree with these takes?
No way.
No way.
Or do you approve?
Oh, no doubts. No doubt in my mind. No diggity, no doubt.
It's time to ask Michael Lombardi. No way or no doubt.
All right, let's get into it. Starting in Dallas, whenever Dak Prescott gets a deal done, Michael, whether it be this offseason or if he hits the free agent market next year, no way or no doubt, he will be the first $60 million a year player. What do we think?
Well, that's a hard one. Yeah, no way. No way. I mean, if Jerry gives him $60 million, Jerry knows he upsets the whole kit and caboodle around him, and I can't see it. I think it's just not going to happen. So I'm going to say no way. No way. There are stronger ones, Stormy, for you. No way.
No way. Do you think, though, follow-up, that he gets a deal done this year? Or is it a case where he's not going to answer the phone and he's going to bet on himself this year to hit the free agent market next year?
I think he's going to bet on himself at the free agent markets, and I don't think Jerry's scared of it either. I think, look, if you're the starting quarterback of the Cowboys, do you want to become the starting quarterback of some other team? Right? I mean, think about it. If you're the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, do you want to go then become the starting quarterback in, let's pick a place, Seattle, that might need a quarterback? I'm not saying Seattle would do that. Or do you want to go become the starting quarterback in, another city? I don't know. I mean, I think to me, the Cowboys is still a brand name. Do you want to go to Jacksonville? I know they don't need a quarterback. Or Tampa,
Less pressure.
Brady only went to Tampa because obviously. Yeah, well, no, not if you get the money. There's no pressure. Just ask Trevor Lawrence about the pressure. He's already feeling it. They're already asking him about it. So, look, I think it's a challenge for him. He's got to do what's right for Dak. I don't begrudge him at all. But at some point, you can't eat all the rigatoni, as they told Tony Soprano.
All right. Dak tied for 8th on the DraftKings odds board to win league MVP this year at 16-1. How about this, sticking with contracts? No way or no doubt, the two MVP favorites, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, should restructure their contracts to be at the top of the market.
Well, they've always restructured their deals so they lower their cap number. I don't think they're concerned about being at the top of the market. I think they're concerned about winning a title. I think that's the way Mahomes is, and he'll stay that way. Now, look, he doesn't want to be the 50th paid player, and he doesn't want Baker Mayfield to make more money than him. However, that being said, I do think he wants to, win. The same thing with Josh Allen. Yeah. And once they do win, it becomes a whole different element. So, what do they care if it's just, let's hypothetically say it's $4 million, say they're $1 million short of the highest rated guy over 5 years. That's $5 million. They make $5 million doing something else. I don't think they're worried about it. If it's $50 million, now you got a problem. You got to fix that.
Is that not hilarious, though, to an extent that the players that actually do have the most impact on winning care slightly less about being the highest paid in their contract, and then the guys that have actually shown no evidence of being able to do that are the ones that are like, I need to be the highest paid. I need to be next. I'm going to be next. The market is the market. Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. I'm just going to get paid. Yeah. So I find that fascinating.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think everybody is just always saying to themselves, look, get as much as you can while you can.
Sure.
And
which I don't flack anybody for.
I don't either, but it just also, it does show you exactly what we're talking about here is what's the most important thing? What is winning most important, or is getting as much as you can?
Yeah, but I'm also, like, I agree with you on that other point that if I'm Trevor Lawrence and somebody's offering me $55 million, yeah, I'm going to take it.
I'm not turning it down.
I'm not turning it down, you know? So, yeah, I understand it from that standpoint. Well, this is apparently just all contracts in no way or no doubt. Let's go out to San Francisco, where a big talking point has been what is going to happen with star wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, who's coming off of a career season. No way or no doubt Ayuk will attend the start of training camp in July.
I think no doubt he will, because here's what I think which really gets misconstrued in off season, because we have so much time to report on things. The reality of it is when he says the Niners don't want him, it's completely wrong. They want him. They just don't want him at the number he's proposing. It's called a contract negotiation, right? So they don't want him at a certain number. They want him at whatever they're trying to negotiate with him. Just because they don't want your number doesn't mean they don't want you.
There were 6 quarterbacks that were drafted in the top 12 this year. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix. No way or no doubt, Michael. More than half of these early first-round quarterbacks will be their team's Week 1 starter. So 4 of those 6, no way or no doubt.
4 of the, I think 3 of the 6. I mean, Penix isn't going to do it, right? We know that, and we know unless an injury occurs, we know Drake May won't be doing it. So now it comes down to, and we think, no, I'm going to say no way. I think because Darnold's going to be the starter, I don't think J.J. McCarthy and his wild, uncontrollable baseball throw is going to be the starter.
And Kevin O'Connell did tell reporters that Sam Darnold is QB1 headed into camp. But J.J. McCarthy, I'm sure, is trying to put his best foot forward, get an opportunity. There have been some people that have thrown money on him to be the Week 1 starter. I always just come back to, based on what we pay backup quarterbacks, like, I don't think that you're paying Sam Darnold $10 million with most of that guaranteed to come in and sit. Like, you're going to give your young quarterback the opportunity to develop. And people do believe that Sam Darnold, I don't know if it's true or not, but people believe that Sam Darnold, while he was in San Francisco, might have had some witchcraft and wizardry change him a little bit. So we'll see. How about as we go out to New Orleans, Saints running back Alvin Kamara. His status is a little bit unknown after skipping the final practice of minicamp last week, and his agent did tell NFL Network this was contract related. He's set to make $10.2 million in base salary this season, but just $1 million of it guaranteed. No way or no doubt, Kamara deserves a new deal.
Well, there's no doubt he deserves to have the money guaranteed. I think there's a definite trend here that we need to understand. Everybody on the New Orleans Saints in their salary hierarchy has had their paragraph 5 guaranteed except for Kamara. And why is that? Well, because Kamara, they don't want to put any more salary cap debt onto their already high salary cap debt going into next year. Remember, the Saints are the credit card team of the NFL. They've been doing this for 10 years, and they've gotten away with it because the cap keeps going up. So they just keep signing guys. They go in, they guarantee paragraph 5, they lower their base, and they just keep moving along. But this year, they decided not to move along with Kamara, which is surprising. I don't know why that is. Do they feel like they don't want to put more money into a back? I think it's the same thing going on with the Rams and Matthew Stafford. They don't want to have to put more money into a guy who may have a bad elbow. They may not want to put more money into Kamara. He may have an injury that we don't know about that the club feels like, well, he's not going to be around here very long.
Turns 29 next month as well. His rushing yards prop for this season set at 625.5, rushing touchdowns number 4.5, and the Saints, as I referenced earlier, plus 340 in the NFC South. Let's hit one more here quickly. No way or no doubt, Michael, the Lakers should consider hiring Monty Williams, who's just let go from the Pistons, for their vacant head coach position.
Yeah, no, don't think so. I mean, look, you got to come in. You got to come in with some clout, right? You got to come in with some credibility. And Monty won Coach of the Year. I get all that. I could see the Lakers saying, "Look, we don't have to pay him very much." I mean, depending on his contract, we don't have to pay him. But I would say no, because you just won't have that that same credibility in the locker room that you need to have.
Michael, scale of 1 to 10, what's the attractiveness level of the Lakers head coaching job, where it sits in 2024?
Well, if you listen to the media, it's a 10. If you listen to people around the league, it's about a 3 or a 4. Think about that. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of problems you can't control.
It says a lot about the state of the franchise that is, one of the more historic and greatest legacies in sport. So interesting for sure. We will see ultimately who ends up getting the head coaching job. JJ Redick, of course, the name that has been thrown around the most since the whole Dan Hurley debacle has been set to bed.
DraftKings, giving a bonus bet back if I lose so I don't have to sweat my bet? NBA Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing. Now, you know all about sweating. Break it down for us.
A no-sweat bet. It's kind of like an offensive rebound. You miss your first shot, you get another chance to score.
You're supposed to shower after the game, Patrick.
New customers, get your first bet back as a bonus bet up to $1,500 if it doesn't hit. The crown is yours.
Want to level up your sports betting game? Then you need to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. For a limited time, get a VSiN Pro subscription at a special price of just $199. And you'll get an extra month absolutely free. That's 13 months of VSiN for the price of 10. VSiN Pros get access to daily best bets sent to your inbox every morning, unlimited pro articles, betting splits, and more. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and use promo code FOOTBALL to become a VSiN Pro today for just $199 and join the sports betting network. Looking for the ultimate sports betting podcasts? VSiN has got you covered. With a wide range of podcasts covering every major sport, we're here to help you make smarter bets every season. Hardwood Handicappers offers daily NBA analysis and picks from VSiN's top hosts and experts. And check out Long Shots, where we deep dive into the world of golf betting, providing you with expert insights to help you bet every tournament. Find all of these podcasts and more at VSiN.com/podcasts or your favorite podcast platform.
If you didn't catch VSiN Primetime, here's what you missed.
You do think that the Mets are worth a look to make the postseason, and the schedule that you alluded to with Adam Burke.
Well, that's the schedule. Okay, so schedule for the Mets. You wrap up the first half, so going into the All-Star break, Tim, with the Nationals, the Pirates, the Nationals again, and the Rockies. So that's 11 games combined against the Nationals and the Pirates, and then a 3-game set with the Rockies going into the All-Star break. You come out of the All-Star break with a 4-game set against the Marlins. Then you got to play 6 against the Yankees and the Braves. Pretty tough. Then coin flip series at home against the Twins. Then you're right back to it with the Angels, the 1 game against the Cardinals, and then 3 against the Rockies. Like, it's a schedule that sets up pretty nicely for the Mets to have some sustained success heading into the end of the first week of August.
VSiN Primetime with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on VSiN, the sports betting network.
At VSiN, we've got you covered before, during, and after every game. Jumpstart your game day with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN Primetime at 6 Eastern. They'll get you ready before the first tip, puck drop, and pitch, ensuring you're ahead of the game. Then stay in the loop during all the action with the Greg Peterson Experience at 9. And as the night wraps up, join Matt Humans and Wes Reynolds on VSiN Tonight at 11, giving you the first look at tomorrow's lines to get an edge on the next day's bets. All this and more, only on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
Summer months are here, which means you're going to have to bet on baseball. This is VSiN MLB analyst Adam Burke, and my daily article is here to help you navigate betting baseball each and every day. I break down pitching matchups, study analytics, look at weather reports, and more to help find best bets on the MLB card every day. My article is only available to VSiN Pro subscribers. To become a subscriber and get help betting baseball this summer, as well as everything else VSiN has to offer, head to VSiN.com/pro.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Bonatoni, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If you're watching and listening to VSiN, don't forget about all the great betting tools and content at VSiN.com. We've got best bets from hosts and guests, betting splits, pro tips, trends, and of course, best practices. Right now on the homepage, will the Florida Panthers secure their first title in franchise history? Our resident NHL expert, Johnny Lazarus, has a full Game 5 breakdown for tonight's Stanley Cup final, thoughts on the side and total, and approach to the prop market. All up now at VSiN.com. So welcome you back to VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, alongside Michael Lombardi, Stormy Bonatoni with you. Get back into a little NFL talk. The Houston Texans went from worst to first in the AFC South this past season, and with success comes expectation. So to help us break it all down, we welcome in Texans writer John McClain on the Progressive guest line. Been covering the NFL in Houston 48 years, knows Houston sports inside and out. Welcome in, John. How are we doing today?
Stormy, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us. We appreciate it. And I'm curious your thoughts on how this Houston team can continue to take positive steps off what was a remarkable rookie season for C.J. Stroud last year.
It's going to be really difficult because last year they played a fourth-place schedule. Their crossover game was Arizona here, of which they won. And this year they play a first-place schedule, 5 division champions, 11 games against teams that had winning records. And the quarterbacks they play, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, and they might get Jaden Daniels and Drake May. So they play a murderer's row of quarterbacks. And after they stomped Cleveland in the wild card round, they were tied with Baltimore at halftime, the divisional round. And then they crushed the Texans running the ball. So they know they have to improve against the run, even though last year they went from 32nd to 6th against the run. That's one reason they signed 14 defensive free agents, drafted 5 defensive players, and re-signed 4 of their defensive free agents.
They have been very active, John. There's no question. And I think you hit the nail on the head. So as we look at this team moving forward, who do you think will make the guys that they've signed, who will make the most impact?
Well, most people would say Stephon Diggs. I say Danielle Hunter. Because right now, they signed Danielle Hunter, who had 16 half sacks, who led the NFL in tackles for loss, playing opposite of Will Anderson Jr., the defensive rookie of the year. And then they signed Danico Autry. Since Autry turned 30, he's had 9 sacks in each of those 4 seasons. Last year, he set his career high with 11. So with Hunter playing next to Autry, with Anderson on the other side, I don't think Danielle Hunter is going to face a lot of double teams. I don't think now Stephon Diggs isn't either, as long as Nico Collins and Tank Dell stay healthy. But I would say Hunter first and Diggs second. The thing about Diggs, he might have the most catches. I'd be shocked if he extends his 100-catch season to 5. Nico Collins have the most yards, and Tank Dell have the highest average per catch. But they've got high expectations for Diggs, whom they traded for, and Hunter, who they signed for 2 years, $49 million.
The more you keep saying those names, the more stacked it reminds us that wide receiver room is for Houston this year. And a great quarterback that's throwing them the ball as well in C.J. Stroud. Did you expect to any extent what we ultimately got from Stroud last year? I mean, just offensive rookie of the year, and every step of the way was breaking records.
Stormy, if anybody tells you they expected that, they're lying through their teeth. Nobody expected a rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud, to do that. We didn't see anything in off-season program, OTAs. Didn't see it in preseason, didn't see it in camp. D'Amico Ryans didn't name him starter, even though we all said he was going to be in the media, until the week before the season starts. And I compare that right now the way Caleb Williams is being promoted for the Bears. And really, the first game, they got beat at Baltimore, and I didn't think much. Second game, they got beat at home. And even though he threw for 180 yards in the fourth quarter, a lot of that was mop-up yards based on the coverage. But when they went to Jacksonville, 0-2 and won by 20 and came back home and beat Pittsburgh worse than any Houston team has beaten the Steelers since the Oilers in 1991, I started to think he's got a chance to be special, but no way did anybody see the accuracy, the down-the-field accuracy, the cool calmness under pressure, and the way he brought that team from behind. They won like 7 games in the last 36 seconds in overtime.
Yeah, they were remarkable, and he did a great job. John, so you're around the team all the time. You're around Nick. Who do they think is the main competitor in the South to them? Which team?
Well, I think they would say Indianapolis. They had to beat Indianapolis last year to get in the playoffs. Colts came so close to winning that last game, and they would have been in. Now, the way people are talking about the Texans this year, they were talking about the Jaguars last year. Jaguars had beaten Chargers in the playoffs with that great comeback. Trevor Lawrence was going to be a generational quarterback. I know I lost a $100 bet on the air here when I had a choice of taking the Jaguars to the field. And I took the Jaguars without hesitation. And if somebody had said, well, what are the odds the Texans are going to finish first, I would have said, whatever they are, I'll take them that they're not. So you know how that is, Mike. It happens every year. We have worst to first. That means it'd be the Titans. Rand Cawthorn's made a lot of changes. He had a lot of money to spend and retired Bill Callahan to help his son, Brian, in his first year as a head coach. And could they go from worst to first? It depends on Will Levis. And the Texans couldn't have done it without Stroud. And he knows, and offensive coordinator, play caller Bobby Slowick knows, that every defensive coordinator has been watching the tape, seeing what he did well, and what can we do differently this season. Stroud and Slowick have to evolve accordingly.
That's a great point. John McClain, Houston Texans writer, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. And so you talked about the perception of C.J. Stroud starting to shift from last offseason as the season started to go on. Now there's another shift where he's being talked about as one of the shortest shots to win MVP. And he, too, is talking a lot about himself and about other quarterbacks, MVP-type players in the National Football League. What have you made about some of Stroud's social media and YouTube appearances, the interviews that he has done? Do you like the confidence, or do you wish maybe he'd just take a step back and continue to watch and learn?
Well, the Texans, D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio, probably wish that he would take a step back, watch and learn. But it is the sign of the times with young athletes today, young people in general. Now, he and Micah Parsons have become best friends. They went to China. They played celebrity basketball, celebrity baseball. You talk about trash talkers. Those two are best trash-talking best friends. Can't wait till they play in Arlington. But Zaire Franklin took a couple of shots at him, and then he brought up Aaron Rodgers out of nowhere, saying that Matthew Stafford would have won multiple Super Bowls if he'd been with the Packers. And I'm like, I wish he was that good when he's talking to us. Maybe we're asking the wrong questions, but I've been surprised at how outward he's been. But I don't think anybody holds it against him because he's such a good kid. We voted him here the Good Guy Award locally, the Pro Football Writers of America, and then he won it nationally, and I've never seen a rookie do that. I voted for Brandon Graham, a 15-year veteran, but he is very cooperative, and he tries hard to be informative and analytical, but we never heard a peep controversial about him as a rookie.
It's amazing. John, real quick, we're going to have to go here, but running back situation, does Mixon look like he's the real deal? And what the hell ever happened with Dameon Pierce?
Dameon Pierce does not fit the zone scheme that Bobby Slowick put in. He's a straight ahead, run over him. He's got to learn to be disciplined. Maybe he will. Mixon, one of the interesting things, he's only missed 3 games the last 4 years, and he hasn't fumbled since 2021. He had 1,400 yards last year, and one reason they like him, they can't score inside the 5 running the football last year, and he's averaged 12.3 touchdowns over the last 4 years.
John, keep up the excellent work. John. Thank you so much.
You are amazing.
Stormy
Thank
and
you,
Mike,
sir.
thank you guys very much for having me.
That's John McClain. Follow him on X at McClain_on_John. Great stuff there from him on all things Houston and the division perspective as well. I am not of the belief that Will Levis can lead the Titans from worst to first, but crazier things have happened, Michael.
Yes, crazier things have happened. I'm not with you on that one either. You're not getting me down there. You're not even getting pizza money on that one for me. I'm going to have to be proven to me during the season. Yeah. I'm not wasting good pizza money. No chance.
That was great stuff. And I can totally relate, too, that I guess we're not asking the right questions at some of these media availabilities because I've been there. I ask a question. I'm like, why'd you give that guy such a great answer? I thought that I crafted that question beautifully. Yeah. All right. We're going to hit the break, wrapping things up on the other side.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network. We are a network of sports betting analysts, writers, hosts, and handicappers here to make you a more confident bettor. We broadcast live from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world, every day to provide you with sports betting insight and analysis you can't find anywhere else. Our shows can be heard live on streaming platforms and radio stations all across the country. VSiN.com has the latest in sports betting news, betting splits, analysis, and picks. We have over a dozen daily and weekly podcasts to help you as a sports bettor. If you become a VSiN Pro subscriber, you'll have access to our 24/7 video stream, betting guides ahead of every season and major event, picks sent to your inbox every morning, and so much more. To learn more, head to VSiN.com and see all that VSiN has to offer. That's VSIN.com.
Want to level up your sports betting game? Then you need to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. For a limited time, get a VSiN Pro subscription at a special price of just $199. And you'll get an extra month absolutely free. That's 13 months of VSiN for the price of 10. VSiN Pros get access to daily best bets sent to your inbox every morning, unlimited pro articles, betting splits, and more. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and use promo code FOOTBALL to become a VSiN Pro today for just $199 and join the sports betting network.
If you didn't catch Follow the Money, here's what you missed.
There was no way Charles Barkley is retired. Zero. Says he's done after next year.
No, I watched the entire video.
No way.
Here's the thing. I mean,
someone's going to throw an obscene amount of money at him.
He's
in the moment. It's been a long year. He's feeling for his colleagues at TNT. They're going to be. It's all over after next year. He's caught up in a moment.
It's going to be his 25th anniversary next year.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
time
flies.
Yes,
my
it
God.
does.
So I can understand being in the moment and saying this, and he was adamant on TV saying, "Don't even call me. I'm not doing any interviews. I'm not talking about it. This is me telling you I'm done. I'm going to go out on a high note." Well, what happens when Amazon offers $100 million?
No kidding.
Or whatever network it is to offer probably that much money, if not more.
Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard. Weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Pacific on VSiN, the sports betting network.
At VSiN, we've got you covered before, during, and after every game. Jumpstart your game day with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN Primetime at 6 Eastern. They'll get you ready before the first tip, puck drop, and pitch, ensuring you're ahead of the game. Then stay in the loop during all the action with the Greg Peterson Experience at 9. And as the night wraps up, join Matt Humans and Wes Reynolds on VSiN Tonight at 11, giving you the first look at tomorrow's lines to get an edge on the next day's bets. All this and more, only on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
Looking for the ultimate sports betting podcasts? VSiN has got you covered. With a wide range of podcasts covering every major sport, we're here to help you make smarter bets every season. Hardwood Handicappers offers daily NBA analysis and picks from VSiN's top hosts and experts. And check out Long Shots, where we deep dive into the world of golf betting, providing you with expert insights to help you bet every tournament. Find all of these podcasts and more at VSiN.com/podcasts or your favorite podcast platform.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Buonantony, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are wrapping up this Thursday edition of the Lombardi Line presented by DraftKings alongside Michael Lombardi. Stormy Buonantony with you, and like we always do, the last segment of the day, it is time for our pro tip of the show. Every single show here at VSiN does these each and every day. You can find them at VSiN.com, searchable by show and by sport. But today, Michael, we have Jeff Schwartz, who came on in the last segment, who fully unbeknownst to him, endorsed a storm warning that I had from earlier in the show, which we thought would just make for a good pro tip today, if we want to throw that up there. During the dog days of summer, let's avoid betting just to bet, okay? If you are not somebody who is handicapping baseball or soccer, you're grinding it out through the season, let's be cautious placing a full unit wager just because it's something to bet. Just because a sport is there, Michael, does not mean we have to throw money on it. Believe it or not. I know that's crazy, but we don't have to do it.
No. We're not all Will Hills. We don't have to bet everything. He's good at it. You're not. So accept it, move on. I agree, And look, let's face it. I think this is the perfect time. We have the betting guide coming out next week.
Yes.
You need to really buy that. Use the promo code Lombardi to sign up for that. You need to take 2 weeks, sit on the beach, read the guide, go through the teams, make sure that you're not wasting money. Even if it's pizza money, don't waste it, right? There's a good pizza. Why would you give up a good pizza for just a ridiculous bet? Think about it, and do your study because, look, like what Jeff Schwartz said about Oregon, my son coaches there. Like, I know Oregon, I know some other programs, but you got to really know the programs in college football to understand who can be it. And I thought one of his best lines was that there's a small amount of teams that are truly competing for the title. Look, Michael Penix didn't take anybody by storm last year. It wasn't a surprise. He was good the year before. Washington, look at all the guys that got drafted. Yep. We knew Washington was going to be good. We just didn't know Washington could beat Oregon twice. Let's be clear. We didn't think that could happen. So you're dealing with a small group of teams that and with this transfer portal and the changes in coaches, it could take a little bit of time for some of these teams that we think, as you mentioned in the storm warning, are going to be able to compete at a high level. They're going to need some time to get situated.
This is the most transformational change that I can think of in the sport in my lifetime. When you think of the conference realignment and how much shifting there is, the Big 12 the last 2 years with the teams that they have had come in and out of the league. You have the head coaching turnover that we've talked about a lot over the last 2 days. And then to your point, the transfer portal and how much it's free agency in college football, how much players are just able to leave on a whim essentially because they're available to. And it's just something that in my mind, if you are somebody who is a college football bettor or you are an NFL bettor and you're not a baseball bettor and you're not a Euro soccer bettor, I did not expect starting our segment with Jeff, bless his heart, love him to death, saying that he's sweating Albania, right? That was not the thought that I had when we came into that segment. But this is such a good golden opportunity time of year to get your prep in and to research those rosters. And who knows, you might be going through a schedule and see a look ahead spot or, different things on a schedule you weren't anticipating. And then you can go in your calendar and mark a date out. Hey, be aware of this as we're approaching this week in the schedule. This is the time that you can do those things. So again, VSiN Pro Tips available at VSiN.com. Let's close out the show today looking ahead a little bit ourselves to the NFL. We've had week 1 lines up for a little over a month now. And with that, we have seen which teams are getting bet. So a few of these, I'm curious if any of these surprise you or not where we're sitting right now. And again, these are lower limits to this point than what we're going to see as we get closer to game time. Things are going to change inevitably between now and training camp, preseason, week 1. but a couple of these that we'll throw up on one graphic here first. We got 98% of bets on the Chargers laying 3 against the Raiders, 95% of the bets coming in on the Seattle Seahawks minus 4.5 at home against Denver, 95% on the Lions laying 3.5 against the Rams in a rematch of that postseason game this past year, and 93% laying a point with the New York Giants against Minnesota. Any of these surprise you, fade, or follow some of the high percentage bets here?
Well, I think let's so we know there's bet limits at this time of the year, okay, because of the uncertainty with teams and injuries and all that. So most of this money is coming from people who handicap for a living. This doesn't make them smarter than us. They just do this for a living, and they want to jump on a number. They could care less about the team. What shocks me is this Charger line. I think this line could go, I think what us have to do as a betting network and giving out advice is what line is going to move. I think even though 95% of the money is coming in on the Lions at 3.5, I think the Rams are going to get action. That line could go down to 3. I think it's awfully attractive at 3.5 in a game that was decided by 1 point where both teams we know will be healthy in the opener because of the way they practice in the preseason. I would look at lines that potentially could move. I see that Seahawk line at 4.5. I think it's going to depend a lot on what Bo Nix looks like in the preseason. Right? Does he look better? Is he playing well? This Giant line could move too, because if the Giants offense looks like they did in minicamp based on what we were talked about, you got some issues here. So I think for us, can you predict the line movement to go? What could happen? Like the Cardinals, there's 85% of the money on the Cardinals getting 7 against Buffalo. I think that's perception of the Cardinals. They played everybody tough. They're healthy this year. Not that they're going to be better. The uncertainty at wide receiver for Buffalo seems to dominate the airwaves. There's all circumstances that go into it. And remember this, Stormy, opening day, you've got to look at the coaching and the preparation more than the actual matchup.
That's a great one, though, that you mentioned there with the Cardinals getting 7 in Buffalo, because there is this perception right now that the Cardinals, to your point, last year, they were scrappy. They were in a lot of games. Kyler Murray is going to be healthy from day 1 of this year versus having to come in midseason last year. And then with Buffalo, hey, this is a team that can they really do it? You know, they lost a lot of pieces last year. This is going to be such a crunch time type of a season for Sean McDermott. Maybe they're not as good as we think we are. Maybe that window is closing for Buffalo. And it's very, very interesting. Some other ones that are in like the 80 to 88% range here. The Ravens getting 3 at Kansas City in the opener rematch of the AFC Championship game. A lot of people liking Baltimore with the additions that they have made. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 88% of the bets coming in on the Bucs laying 3.5 against Washington as they introduce their new young quarterback, Jaden Daniels. And one more there, 80% on the Philadelphia Eagles, -1 against the Packers. That game on a Friday in Brazil. Eagles taking a lot of money there.
Yeah, it's not surprising. I mean, I don't know how to handicap that one. I don't know enough. You got to do some digging here on want to see the Packers in preseason, the whole environment. You know, they've eliminated the green from the uniform because they were afraid because of all the turf battles and some of the things that go on down in Brazil that I think they're worried about that for some reason. So I think it's an interesting game. The altitude's not going to be a problem. It's something that the teams can handle. But for me, I look at that Rams-Lions game. I think that's the great one. It's Sunday night. I'm shocked that they're giving you the hook in this game. I don't think it's going to last very long because I think at the end of the day, these games come down to a field goal. And I think with Matthew Stafford being healthy, their offensive line, when the Rams are healthy, they're good. They're good. They can go. And the Lions are good too. But I think when you give Sean McVay enough time to prepare, and as the Lions work through some of their secondary things that they have to work through, it could open up a hole.
Very, very interesting. A few of these are. And I also look at that Ravens +3 at Kansas City just because we've talked a lot about how Kansas City maybe there's a little bit of that hangover period. They've had a lot of off-season issues. Maybe they come out a little bit slower. I feel like especially based on the last couple of years. They've been slower starting, and they close with incredible closing speed and winning games when they have to win them. So maybe early on in the season is a time you're willing to take some underdogs a little bit more. Okay, so we're wrapping up the show here, Michael. What's on the agenda tonight? You got the next couple of days off. Are we hitting karaoke again in the backyard with Bill? What's the word?
No, we're going to all go out. We're going to have a birthday celebration dinner, just the four of us, so we'll enjoy that. That'll be great. Wonderful. And then I'm going to travel. I'm going to travel to the West Coast and spend a little time with my son on Friday. I'm going to travel tomorrow and see him, and then I'll be back on the show on Sunday from his house, and then I'm going to have a speech in I have a book presentation in San Diego for the next 2 days, so I'll see you next Wednesday when I get back. You're going to enjoy the weekend. You got it made. Finally got some weekends. You can rest on the couch. You can live a life. I enjoy that.
You know what's funny, really, Michael? Can. So last week, obviously, was my first weekend off. This week, 2 in a row. Who am I? Next week, I'm going to Disneyland with my little sister. So I've only had 2 weeks off, and then I'm going to be back on a plane again anyways. It's like I can't get enough of it. Apparently, I must love travel. No, not so much. But I will bring joy to a 10-year-old child. That is what I will do.
There you go. That's right. That's all that matters. And there's nothing like, look, it's the happiest place on earth. Why wouldn't you want to go?
Yes, exactly. Awesome stuff. Appreciate you, my friend. I'm glad that you had a good happy birthday. Happy birthday as well to Mike Somich, who joined us on the show. That's it for us. But stick around here on VSiN. Patrick Maher and the Sharp Money Crew are up next. And if you're watching on DraftKings Network, get ready for Pablo Torre Finds Out. Have a great day.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the